Hola clase, ¿cómo están? Lo siento, I couldn't be here today, but I made this video for you guys to follow what you're supposed to be working on. So today we're going to be working on question words and the verb ir. So the first one is como. Como, like in ¿cómo estás? So como in this case means how. How are you? ¿Cómo estás? Then we have ¿cuál? ¿Cuál es tu mochila? Which one is your backpack? Pay attention here that the cual is in the singular form. That's why your verb es is in the singular. So in the previous one, we saw the singular version. Now we're going to see the plural version, which is cuáles. ¿Cuáles son tus mochilas? For example, pay attention that from es, this one changed now to son, because son is a plural form of es. ¿Cuándo? ¿Cuándo es la clase de español? When is Spanish class? So, ¿cuándo? It's basically when. What you have to be careful with this is that sometimes they all sound the same. So my recommendation is that you make some use the Quizlet set that I made for you to study and to see the difference between them. Pretty much you have to memorize the meaning of them. ¿Cuánto es? How much is it? ¿Cuántos? With an S. ¿Cuántos hay? How many are there? ¿Dónde? ¿Dónde están ellos? Where are they? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué está ella allí? Why is she there? ¿Por qué? Also, pay attention then when you're asking why, you usually respond with because, and the way that we spell because is porque altogether without an accent. ¿Por qué está ella ahí? Ella está ahí porque está estudiando. For example, she's there because she's studying. ¿Qué estudias? What do you study? ¿Quién es de Cancún? Who is from Cancún? And in the next slide, you'll see ¿quiénes son ellos? Who are they? And you'll notice that that will be for the plural form. So in this one, you use es, and in the next one, you'll see son. So in this unit, you also need to be learning how to ask questions. So basically, there's 4 different ways that you can ask questions in Spanish. The first one way to ask a question is by making your voice rise at the end of the sentence. So it's exact the same sentence. The only thing that you add are question marks. So in the first one is the statement. Hay una biblioteca en la ciudad. There is a library in the city. And in the question, you will say, ¿hay una biblioteca en la ciudad? So see how my intonation is kind of like different. You can also create a question by adding the tag words such as no, verdad, to the end of the sentence. So it's kind of like saying, isn't he, isn't she, right, really? That's what verdad is. So for example, it's the same sentence, so the only thing you do is you add a comma and then you put the no o verdad. Eva va al restaurante, ¿no? Ustedes van al Zócalo, ¿verdad? Another way to ask a question in Spanish is to place the subject after the verb. So basically you switch. In the first one, you're going to see that says, Tomás está en el parque. ¿Está Tomás en el parque? So we switch. We have the verb now and then the subject. And of course, you need to add the question marks. The last one, and sometimes the one that is a little more difficult for students, is when forming information question with interrogative words, such as como, cuál, cuándo, and so forth. So what we do here is we first put the question word, and then put the verb, and then the subject. So, ¿cuándo van ellos a la fiesta? When are they going to the party? Some question words may be used with a combination of preposition. For example, when you say, where are you from? The from will go first. That's why you say, ¿de dónde eres tú? Where are you from? So going back, I'm gonna show you an example of the same statement. How do we ask questions using the 4 different ways? So the first one is just the statement that you have, you add a question mark. So it will be, ¿tú hablas español? That's the statement. Add the question marks, and then it will be, ¿tú hablas español? And also the pronunciation and intonation changes a little bit. The second way is to add to the question the words verdad or no. So you can say, tú hablas español, ¿verdad? Tú hablas español, no. Whether you put the tú or not in the sentence, it's okay. It's your preference. Because the verb ending as, so we know that it's specifically for the to form. So you don't have to put it in there. Okay, the third way is we're going to switch. And you're going to have first the verb and then the subject. Usually in a sentence, of course, you have first the subject and then the verb. Now we're going to switch it. So instead of saying tú hablas español, it will be hablas tú español, and of course adding the question marks. The last one is when you use the question word, such as dónde, cuándo, qué, cuánto. And of course, that's going to depend on the context. So it's important that you actually try to read the whole sentence or the whole statement. So in this one, you can say, ¿qué hablas? What do you speak? And then the answer is español. Okay, so the second thing that you guys need to know for this week is el verbo ir. Ir means to go. That even though it ends in IR, it does not follow the IR conjugation. To go, we learn it by itself because it's an irregular verb. That means that everything in all the different forms, the verb changes completely. So it's an irregular verb in the present tense. So if you want to say I go, you will say yo voy. Tú vas, that means you go. Usted, él, ella va, he or she goes. Nosotros vamos, we go. Vosotros vais, you all go. In Spain, ellos or ellas van, they go. Now, something very, very important about this verb is that any form of the verb, voy, vas, va, vamos, van, always going to be followed by the preposition a. And sometimes the a may become al. So depending on what you have next. So, for example, ¿por qué no vamos a la biblioteca? Why don't we go to the library? Now, the next one is voy al cine. I go or I'm going to the movies. Now, because cine starts with el, and every time that we have the a, el, you can make it shorter, and that becomes al. When you want to suggest going somewhere or doing something, for example, let's go somewhere, let's do something, you use vamos a. Vamos a la ciudad a hoy. Vamos a tomar el autobús. Let's take the bus. So that is basically the conjugation of the verb ir. Okay, chicos, that's it. So this is where you guys are gonna work next. On a piece of paper, saquen una hoja de papel y un lápiz, and you guys gonna do first these three activities. Actividad 14 está en la página 109. This is for you to practice how to ask questions. And you're gonna try to use all different forms of asking questions. Don't do the easy one only, okay? Try to use all 4. So you're gonna find some statements and you're gonna make those statements into questions. Actividad 16, página 110. This is to see if you understand the meaning of the question words. It's important to read first the whole sentence before you decide which one will go with what. You're going to see a lot of vas. Remember, vas means you go. The last one is Actividad 30, página 117. This one is to practice the verb ir, the conjugation of the verb ir. Once you're done with that, you're going to turn in la hoja de papel to Dr. House. Make sure you have your name on it, and this is completion grade. So this is your classwork grade. Also, you're going to go to Google Classroom, and there are going to be 2 assignments there for you. One, it's Capítulo 3A practice. And again, you're going to be practicing the same things. Vocabulary, how to ask questions, and the question words. And finally, you're going to go to quizzes. And in quizzes, this is also in Google Classroom, you're going to find a quiz conjugating the verb ir. And that's it. You're done. You also may work in your homework, which is Libro de Gramática y Vocabulario, página 26, 27, and 28. You have the entire time to work on your own. If you have any questions, ask your teacher. She also teaches Spanish. Once you're done, you may go ahead and start working or studying for your test, your quiz. Lo siento. Your quiz will be lunes 6 de noviembre, so we still have 2 more classes to practice this, and it's basically on everything that we just saw today. Gracias, and I will see you again mañana. Be good. Nos vemos. Chao.